what I'm trying to say is that being weird is spiritual. Is that being a weirdo is spiritual, as long as you're not like a weirdo. Like if you're like a funny weirdo, a good weirdo. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Dakota of Earth, and this is my YouTube channel. I get this question all the time in my comment section. It always says, like, what are some of the things that you do to stay on the spiritual path? Or what are some of your methods of connection to the universe? Or, you know, just kind of that feeling we get when we feel like we are aligned. So one of the main things in my life that has been a really big space that has allowed growth for me is traveling. And I know a lot of people don't have the opportunity to travel, but for me, and you don't even have to travel. It's not even about like going to far, crazy destinations, because for one thing that I found is that, like, I've gone to India, hiking in mountains trying to find yogis living in caves. I've went to the high mountains of the Sierra Mazateca trying to find shamans to teach me about magic mushrooms. And you know, I've went to Jerusalem and Bethlehem in search for you know, some kind of truth. So I've always kind of been on this conveyor belt of exploration and just kind of going around the world trying to find something spiritual. And I was looking for, because I just got home from Mexico about a month and a half ago, and I was looking for a shaman while I was in Mexico. And one of the things that I realized after just going on these crazy adventures, stressing myself out, just trying to find the real deal, you know? And I was in a place called Catemaco. It's like a little town in Veracruz in Mexico, and I was hanging out with this old man named Jose. And I don't really speak any Spanish. I had my friend Danny with me, and she would translate for me if I needed it. And we just kind of sat there at his house with him and his wife, and they fed us tacos and bananas, and I don't know, it's what I'm getting at is that it's those moments. It's that, like, it's just like, I remember sitting there eating this taco and just feeling so blissed out and being like, well, for one, tacos are amazing, but it had nothing to do with the taco. It was just that this sort of divine moment, the simple, humble, divine moment has unfolded, you know? I'm in the middle of Mexico, and it's just such a human situation, you know? It's such an adorable kind of situation to find yourself in when you can't talk to anybody. You're eating dinner with this family in this little village, basically. And I just kind of laughed at myself, because it's like I go all around the world searching for these, trying to invoke these divine moments, but it's like it's in these kind of simple moments. It's in the simple moments where true spirituality is, you know? It's like with your family, or when you're just kind of hanging out with your friends. These are the moments these are the moments. And you can go all around the world searching for them, and you're gonna get a lot of, you know, you'll get a lot of them if you go seeking them. But it's not necessary, you know, to go anywhere, because it's always here. And, you know, we always want more, because that's just kind of how the ego wants. We want more. So we shouldn't look at that as a bad thing either. You know, if you have the opportunity to travel, do it, because it will be such a space for you to grow. But the thing is, my spiritual practice while traveling, because it's not necessarily the traveling. A lot of people travel and are still kind of the same people. They don't change much. But the thing that I do while I'm traveling is to say yes to as many unusual and weird situations pop up. I take it, if it's coming to me, if the universe is emerging a situation or experience that is so exotic or beyond anything I could just experience on my own, I feel like there's a reason this is happening. Yes, I'm gonna do it. Like these Satanists that I was hanging out with in these last few videos. I know a lot of you guys got mad at me for hanging out with them, and I'm not a Satanist by even remotely, but it's just like I didn't go looking for that, and it just happened. I just came across. I went to go interview a brujo, a witch, like a medicine man. I went to go interview a medicine man, and he happened to be a Satanist. He wasn't. It wasn't the kind of, like, I had expectations in my head, you know, and that's a lot of us have expectations, and as Shakespeare said, expectation is the root of all heartache. Ugh. So I had expectations of what a medicine man was, or preconceived notions, and I showed up and this guy had a satanic church lair thing, and had a sacrifice area, and most people would probably be like, okay, shit, I gotta go. But I was like, wow, this is fucking crazy. And yeah, I just went for it. And so say yes to as many unusual and weird situations. Being weird is how you grow. Being weird is how you grow. Not only, we're all weird. We're all so fucking weird. So the weirder you are, and I don't mean like weird as in like, you know, looking through people's windows and stuff. I mean like weird as in unique. We all do like weird things, you know. I think about like when I'm hanging out by myself. I'm a weirdo. And like, you know, I'll be dancing around my room or talking to myself out loud or talking to my dog or just being weird. I don't know. I do some weird things. And I think we are all weird, and when we can sort of release, when we can let go of some of the kind of molds society has tried to squish us in, you know what I mean? Like we're told to act a specific way. You know, that's why everyone is kind of cloney out there in the world, you know, because the mainstream pushes an agenda. It pushes an image. It sells an image. That's how all these people make all their money, you know. That's how they find people, they find huge groups of people that don't know who they are. Most of us don't know who we are, right? So they find people that don't know who they are, and they prey on this insecurity of not knowing who they are, and they say, this is who you are. Buy this. This is who you are. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but we are all so unique, and the more that we find ourselves falling into being who we are, which is being something different every second, every moment, we are something new. We are never the same. The only thing that makes us feel the same is our constant linking of moments. We're just attaching chains, or we're just attaching our thoughts into a chain link, just linking our moments up and up and up and up and up and up, and it creates this illusion of time. It creates this illusion of identity. But you are a free-flowing entity. You are like water. You can mold yourself to any situation that you find yourself in. And I think that is what spirituality is about for me. It's about saying yes to unusual situations and putting myself in uncomfortable situations, because uncomfortability is where you're gonna grow. Being in an unusual, weird experience is where you are gonna grow, because you're gonna be in a situation that you're not in a lot. So you'll have to explore a side of yourself that you don't get to see often, that you don't get to be around. You don't get to see that part of yourself because you don't do that often, whatever it is. And you have these experiences all over. Life is filled with these experiences, yet we just remain on this clear pathway that's been kind of pre-paved before us. We don't want to go off into the forest because we have so many insecurities and judgments about ourselves and about the world that keeps us on this safe space. But I'm telling you, uncomfortability is where it's at. Uncomfortability is truth, because one day you are going to have to face a situation where your illusions of of life will be taken from you. You know, we remain on the safe space. The illusions of the safe space will be wiped away as you're walking. There will be a chunk that's wiped away, and you'll have to fall down and pick yourself back up. And that's the truth about life, is that those situations are more real than the safe space. But we just kind of, you know, we huddle and we build our ego up, and we take the safe route. But the safe route's not always safe. And I say that you only live once. Do something wild while you're alive. You know, do something beautiful while you're here. Do something crazy while you're here. We're on a planet. We are on a planet. Who the fuck knows how we got on a planet? Who the fuck knows how we got in these bodies? But we are in an interesting situation to where we can talk about it. I can say, like, I can remind you. You can remind me. Like, wake up. Wake up. You are in a body. You are on a planet. As far as we can tell, we are in this thing that we call the universe, and it is expanding infinitely. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Because one day it's going to be taken from you, and all the things that you wanted to do, you're not going to be able to do them because you're not going to exist anymore. And I know people say that all the time, but it's the truth. That is the truth of the current experience that we are having. Is that it's going to be taken from you, and that you have a little bit of time, a tiny bit of time, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of time to do something that you want to do, or to grow. That's what this is about. It's about growing. That's what this video is about. It's about spiritual practice, and it's about growing. And I think YouTubers, spiritual YouTubers, New Age spirituality, even Hinduism and Buddhism, it's too complex. It's too complex for me. So you have to sit there, and you have to sit in a specific position, put your hands in a specific mudra, which these things are very useful when you get into the depths and the esoteric side of things, but for most people, this stuff is just complicated. So you gotta sit there, and then you gotta focus on your breath, and then you gotta chant some mantra that's in a language that you don't even really know what you're saying. You could be chanting anything if the person was not trustworthy. So these things are they're a little abstract, but I think that this method of spirituality, or this method of growth, is one that you can do right now. Go outside and say hi to somebody. Put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You will grow from it. You might meet an incredible person. You might meet an asshole that again forces you to learn something about the world, to grow. And I think about how many times I've been shy, or maybe I've been in a bad mood, or just there's so many great people in the world. And I know there have been situations where I've missed out on brilliant opportunities because of my own issues. So put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I do think meditation is important. I'm not trying to dog meditation. I think that breathing and chanting a mantra is very important. These things help stabilize your emotions, and they help keep you aligned and not falling prey to one emotion over the other. Like, sometimes we might get a little too sad, or a little too angry, or we want to be in the middle. That's where it's at. It's in the middle. Anything else is gonna be a letdown. What I'm trying to say is that being weird is spiritual. Is that being a weirdo is spiritual, as long as you're not like a weirdo. Like if you're like a funny weirdo, a good weirdo. You don't want to be a weirdo that's like breaking into someone's house to steal their underwear or their socks, or their food. You don't want to be like someone. You don't want to be a person that goes into someone's house and just eats some of their food confusingly to leave them left with a puzzle, just for your weird mind games. Well, that's interesting. But you don't want to break into anyone's house. You don't want to be that kind of weirdo. You don't want to be bad weird. You want to be. You guys know what I mean. So that's a spiritual practice that I do, and that's been a really big spiritual practice for me. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. I've taken psychedelics. I've done deep meditations, and well, you know, they all help. There's not one thing that's more beneficial than the other, but putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, being weird, because I think we are all weird, and that is kind of being true to ourselves. And I also think if we were true to ourselves and we were more weird, the world would be fucking awesome. We wouldn't have so many suit and ties running the show. It would be more poetic and more artistic. But I get it. It's confusing. It's confusing, and we don't want to make mistakes, and we don't want to look silly. But I telling you that don't take that path. Be silly. Don't be afraid of making mistakes or looking dumb. Own it. Own it. Most of us look dumb anyway, so just own it. Everyone's talking shit about you anyway. Me. Everyone talks shit anyway. So rock it. So yeah, click subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Dakota Wint. That's my name. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/DakotaWint. And I'd be very appreciative if you supported me on Patreon. You get all kinds of content that I don't release on YouTube. Stay happy, stay weird. Check out Stay Happy, Stay Weird. That's my clothing company. And that's pretty much it. I make videos, like 3 videos a week, 4 videos a week. So we have a lot of growing to do as a friendship. Okay, I gotta go.